funny. It makes a cloudy day sunny. It makes a bee think of honey, just as I think of you.
People are pretty amazed when I tell this story, but one of my first memories is that of having a little toy piano. Now, I don't play piano, I still barely plunk, but there was something about that I loved. And as a toddler, the one thing on television that would stop me dead in my tracks was the Lawrence Welk Show, mainly the theme song. My mother said if it came on, I would stop what I was doing, and there was something about the bubble music that I just was completely attracted to. And people were like, really, Lawrence Welk? I don't know, it's the mind of a toddler at that point. But who knew I'd be singing that type of music years later? I never thought of myself as someone who would be into big band music and also be someone that would sing the jazz standards. I didn't think of myself as a singer. The next influence was my kindergarten teacher. She was an opera singer. She sang in the chorus at Chicago Opera, and I just idolized her. I thought it was the coolest thing to sit at her feet when she was playing piano and leading a bunch of 5-year-olds into our music portion of our class with her, and I just adored it. I adored it. Now, fast forward to me being a goofy fourth, fifth grader. I remember practicing Girl from Ipanema in the backyard when nobody could hear me because my friends thought, what are you doing? Who likes this kind of music? I grew up in Gary, Indiana, so I was surrounded by R&B, the Motown sound, all this goodness, but for some reason, those older songs, they had a pull for me. In junior high, I'm the same age as what Michael Jackson would be, so I embraced pop culture. It was all about the Jackson 5, and thankfully my parents were so thankful when I moved from the Jackson 5 to Maynard Ferguson when I hit high school. They're like, okay, we're now on the right path. Still not pursuing much singing. I played flute in high school, junior high, into college. I tried a little singing, and I called my voice, I was singing as alto frog, and back then, only sopranos had good voices when you were in junior high. That's just the dynamic. So I didn't think I could sing. Never thought about it. Fast forward to college, that's how I ended up in Minnesota. And freshman year, I was literally singing in the shower right that first week freshmen were on campus. And somebody yelled over the wall, hey, we need help at chapel. Would you consider singing with us? I'm like, who are you talking to? They're like, you. Sure. I needed to meet people. I had no idea what was going to happen. And that is when I started actually taking my singing seriously. The chorale director got a hold of me and he said, you sure you don't want to study opera? You could be a contralto. And there's a rare voice. No, not my thing. I don't like singing in German, sorry. Just couldn't do it. But I started singing at all the shows that were on campus, and I basically started doing singer-songwriter stuff. My early influences, other than Lawrence Welk, were Joan Baez, Joni Mitchell, Janis Ian, of course, Carole King. I love the storytelling that came through their music. I love lyrics. I love lingering on the lyrics, because at the end of the day, as a vocalist, you're a storyteller. And I take it really seriously that my desire when I perform is that I don't care how many people are in the room, that everybody walks away feeling that it was just the two of us in the room and we had an emotionally intimate conversation, and they got some access to who they are as humans, and they got to see a little bit about who I am as a human through the storytelling. After college, 15-year hiatus. I did not sing for 15 years, occasional wedding, that kind of thing, but corporate life took over, and somebody that I knew at Target, where I worked at that time, I had told them, yeah, I used to do some weddings here and there, nothing major. And that person told somebody else, and that person came to me and said, hey, I play in a big band. Would you consider auditioning for us? We need a vocalist. Me? 15 years? Sure. I thought, what's the worst that happens? The best that happens is that even though I think the audition was one of the most god-awful things ever, Chuck Beasley, the founder of Beasley's Big Band, heard something in my voice and was willing to take a chance. And I have played with that band off and on for almost 25 years. And that's what launched my real career as a vocalist. Even though I came out of corporate America, and I have to admit, I loved my security. You know, I liked being able to pay my rent. I liked being able to own a home. I loved all those trappings. I knew that the muse, my musical muse, would demand her time. And that's the beauty of having a creative expression. Singing off and on through those years really helped me deal with the corporate stress. Because as a single person, it's very easy to let your career completely take over. And I had hard stops on certain days. Sorry, it's the first Tuesday of the month. Got to go play with O'Gara's. And you walk out the door that day just like anyone else might if they had family obligations, because the Beasley Big Band at that time was my family. Sorry, third Thursday of the month, got to go swing dance. And if I had vendors that I was working with in town, and even when I moved into my sales job later in my career, I'd say, well, you could go hang out tonight at a hotel and eat overpriced food, or you could come to O'Gara's and hear me sing and have a great burger and a beer and chill out. Guess what they normally took? They normally took the option 2 to come and actually experience the area here and do something different than they would if they were on the road. I had the privilege in Beasley's Big Band of learning that style of music from guys who lived it the first time. My musical mentors, Chuck Beasley, Reuben Haugen, Roger Bartlett, and Mel Carter Sr. And Mel Carter and I used to drive to gigs. I called it driving Mr. Carter. And as he got to know me, I started getting mentoring on the way home. Now, Court, I like what you did there on that song, but you might want to tweak this a little this way the next time. You might have rushed that a little bit. Why don't you pull back when you do this? These little subtleties that the guys who lived this music the first time, who had been on the road doing this music, were willing to tell me. What an absolute honor. And as they got older and didn't want the rigors of a big band, going to rehearsal and all these things, we started playing small, parties or maybe a wedding or something. And the core group was what they called themselves, and I called them the old dudes, Roger, Reuben, and Mel. And that's how Quartz in Session, my 5-piece combo, got created. It was a way to help the old guys keep playing well into their 80s. I cannot thank the 3 of them enough for the gifts that they've given me over the years. They'll never know. They will just never know. Little subtleties when I started moving into big band music. Court, listen to what the horns are doing. Good vocalists in big band music understand the horn parts. And to this day, after sitting through many years of Beasley Big Band rehearsals, I can sing pretty much the horn parts on every song that Beasley's puts out. Go listen to Johnny Hartman. Who? That was from Mel one night. Go listen to Johnny Hartman. You have a low voice. He's smooth. There's some technique there you could learn. And you might want to consider listening to more male vocalists than you do currently. Wow. Okay, that's an interesting way to think of it. But he was right. I learned so much about lingering over the lyrics listening to him, and the emotional depth of really leaning into the low register in my voice. Again, such a gift, such an absolute gift. And today, even though the 3 old dudes are no longer with us, I cherish them. I speak about them at our gigs. I love telling stories about them when I'm doing interactions with our audience members. And that's the reason Quartz in Session is still around, because I want to honor them and their mission to keep this uniquely American art form alive. What we're doing in Quartz in Session these days is really about looking at our music two ways. Yes, it is my creative expression to the world. It is my mission to help people attach to their emotions, to get reacquainted with their emotions through the music and the storytelling. But also, I see it as a service. And I do, because of my background, I do think of the business side of music as this is a service business, and how do I help people who want to hire us really create the ambiance that they want by using live music in what they do. I'm also a member of the Minnesota Music Coalition. I've recently joined the board, and to help promote Minnesota music and support musicians who give so much, especially during the last several months of our journey through COVID here. Music really helped a lot of us get through it, and it's time for me personally to give back to my fellow musicians by supporting them in a leadership role with an amazing organization that really supports us across the state. That's really rich for me, and it's starting to have me think about what's next for myself as a musician. Yeah, I'll keep doing what I love. I love hanging out with my guys, the five of us in Quartz in Session. I love doing piano and voice work. I love all that, but there's a part of me, the heartstrings are saying, okay, there's a little more. I've thought about how cool would it be to bring what I do in music interpretation to high school and college big bands, to say, this is how I look at a song. Maybe starting to teach workshops, nurturing aspiring vocalists. I've had a few reach out to me because of my new connections, and wow, what should I do first? Learn what you want to say and how you want to say it. Because at the end of the day, you're a storyteller who happens to use lyrics versus words and the power of your voice to tell the story. That's the first one. And that was taught to me by both the people that I took lessons from, Roberta Davis, who's from the area, and also from Vicky Mountain. What do you want to say in the song? Figure that out first before you ever start singing. And those lessons have been fascinating to me. Things like taking a song like Do Nothing Till You Hear From Me, which is primarily sung from a guy's point of view. And when I was first introduced to the song, I was like, I don't know what to do with this song. I couldn't find my voice in it. And when I found that it was originally mainly done by males, I was like, oh, wait a second. If a female is singing this, what is she telling him in Do Nothing Till You Hear From Me? And once I got that flow in the song, it's become like I own that song when I sing it. I own it, and people say, you've made that your song. And that's when you know you've done the interpretation in a way that works for you, not somebody else. Yeah. So in addition to listening to people like Johnny Hartman and Nat King Cole, of course, the women in jazz that have influenced me, I didn't get fully Billie Holiday until I started studying her work and studying her life. It's really, I think it's critical for any musician to understand the human that produced the music, especially when you do something like standards, to understand what was really behind all that. Pretty remarkable, pretty remarkable. Carmen McRae, just love some of the things she's done. Anita O'Day, wow. Who knew, right? Yeah, first time I heard her, and Julie London, I was like, wow, I understand that Lawrence Welk connection a little more now as I get older. And of course, Ella Fitzgerald. You just have to marvel at what she did, especially when you understand where she came from and what she was about, what she overcame, and the bias even within the jazz community at the time, because she didn't have the look. But you know what? When you have her voice, the look really didn't matter too much in the long run. And of course, the incomparable Sarah Vaughan. So those are the women that I tend to listen to in the car. If you want to know what my soundtrack is, it's a combination of all of that. And I've also learned to really appreciate songs with quirky lyrics. There are some things that people like Pearl Bailey did. People are like, what are you listening to? I'm like, just listen to the lyrics. They're really quite funny. Again, that storytelling piece. As always, in gratitude, heartfelt thanks to obviously my family, my parents and my sibling who've supported me on this part of my journey. Couldn't do it without them. My sister's one of my best fans, and so is my dad, and so is my mom when she was still with us. My music teachers from kindergarten all the way through to college, and then of course Vicki Mountain, who will always be my teacher. That's how I introduce her. And also Roberta Davis, Mel Carter Sr., Reuben Haugen, Roger Bartlett, and Chuck Beasley. I cannot give them enough thanks for allowing me, someone who said, what are you doing? People would say, what do you do in life? I'm a sales lady. I'm a buyer. Now I can say I'm a vocalist because of those guys. And that's really special to me. And my longtime accompanist and cohort in Mayhem sometimes on the piano, Eric Edwalds. We've been playing together for well over 20 years now. And he's been right there through all the changes in what I want to do. He's been a great support. And the current members of Quartz in Session, Ryan Ludgard, Rich Goldman, and also John Etzel. My heartfelt thanks to you guys for being on this journey with me. I really appreciate you for who you are. All the members of the Beasley Big Band, we're family. We've been together for a lot. We will continue to do what we do well in Chuck Beasley's honor. And any other and all other musicians who give their heart and soul out there to their craft. Thank you for doing what you do in and for the world. You are needed, and now is your time. I love the East, I love the West, the North and South, they're both the best. But I only go there as a guest, 'cause I love being here with you. I love the sea, I love the shore, I love the rocks and what is more. With you there'd never be a bore, 'cause I love being here with you. Singing in the shower, laughing by the hour, life is such a breezy game. In all kinds of weather, long as we're together. You know I love to hear you say my name. I love good wine and fine cuisine and candlelight. I love the scene. But baby, if you know what I mean,